Why do American suburbs have bare lawns? In my subdivision, the front yards all had 2-3 trees planted when they were first built. After about 15 years, everyone started to cut the trees down simply because it was too much work trying to clean up the leaves in the fall. That and the grass around the tree starts to die since it requires a good amount of sunlight. Most suburban homes I've seen have bushes and trees in the front lawn. It is easier to mow a yard with no obstacles though, because the deer eat everything. The house I grew up in had several trees in the front lawn, as did many other houses on my block and in my neighborhood. I don't think that is so unusual, but they do require maintenance. Much can be time-consuming, costly, or both. One of the most well-off families I knew owned a tree service company. Lawns are pretty easy to take care of. Just mow and it looks nice. Growing food or decorative plants is labor-intensive. And your list of berries that are uncommon in the US is funny. No one grows currants and gooseberries in American suburban lawns because no one grows those things in America, period. Something no one has seemed to mention is that lawns are extremely convenient for children's playtime. It provides a relatively soft space, creates comprehensible borders, so direct supervision isn't always needed, allows for sports such as soccer or baseball, and allow room for toys and play structures and splash pools. When I was a kid, we were always playing on someone's lawn. I didn't grow up in an HOA suburb, thank fucking God, and you could always tell when a house was owned by an old widow, because those lawns were the ones packed with cobblestones, rose bushes, hostas, zinnias, bird baths, seasonal decorations, etc. Kids couldn't play there and working people can't maintain all that fuss, they rather mow once a week and be done with it. In my area, front gardens are a popular use of space between the house and the street. A lot of people pride themselves on their flowers, bushes, terraces, pollinator-friendly grasses, little free libraries, big trees, etc. I think the empty green space is a popular trope, but probably represents the minority of American single-family homes, especially as neighborhoods age and mature. It's fascinating when you consider the evolution of the American yard from the colonial imitation of lavish European estates to the modern standard. Initially, it was a display of wealth and power to have these expansive, manicured lawns. Over time, as suburbs proliferated, the ideal lawn became ingrained in the American dream image, owning a slice of land, tamed and neatly trimmed. Moreover, advanced gardening tools and marketing by companies selling lawn care products further popularized and facilitated the maintenance of such homogeneous landscapes. It's not just tradition, it's a symbol that has been effectively marketed and sold to homeowners for generations. In my neighborhood, the HOA tries to encourage plantings by requiring that owners initially spend then maintain at least $1,000 worth of landscaping. The assumption was that this meant trees, shrubs, flowers, ornamental grasses. But some people don't want to deal with maintenance, so they put in rock and concrete instead of planting beds. The city planted 2 free trees in each yard, but those same people tend to rip them out because, again, they don't want to deal with maintenance, so they end up with patches of grass with concrete and rock beds. The city will also reimburse costs if you plant a rain garden. One might assume that these are people who can't do yard work easily, but that's not the case. Most are fully capable and could easily afford gardening service. So here at least, it seems to be mostly that they just don't want to deal with plants and/or just don't value them. In the opposite, I much prefer tree splints, so I find it disappointing. But people should be allowed to do with their yards what they prefer, so to each their own. We have more plain grass than I would like, but we are doing that for now so our kids have a large open place to play tag, soccer, badminton, things that require running. Some of our neighbors have the same reasoning. I'm not American, but I am Australian. Once, as a kid, I tried growing strawberries in the front yard. Grew heaps, I was so proud. A bunch of teenagers ate them. Some of them I knew, but they were pressured into doing it by other kids. No food growing in the front yard is my rule now. Apparently, it is copying a French garden style from the 800s. And we just kind of forgot that it isn't mandatory. I always liked having a lawn as a kid because it was like a blank canvas to play on. Another thing that seems strange to us Europeans is that these lawns are often not enclosed by a fence, as usually they would be in Europe. Because don't know what the fuck a shadberry is, so we don't want them on our lawns. Movies often use backlot sets that don't have much in plantings because they don't want to have to care for plants in front of fake houses that no one lives in. They may want to use the set for homes in many different locations and don't want permanent plantings that are only common in one part of the country. Also, apart from backlots, a developer creating a new subdivision is only going to plant grass, leaving it to the new homeowner to do their own landscaping, and many new homeowners don't get to that until they've lived there for a while and have the spare funds. I'm in a suburb outside of Boston, which, of course, means an older suburb, and it's very common for homes here to have rhododendron, Japanese maples, dogwoods, other flowering trees, forsythia, dahlias, etc. out front. That's in addition to taller pines, oaks, and others, often on the property lines or along the street. Some will have a variety of annuals or perennials. But we also have busy, twisty roads that aren't great for movie sets. Mosquito-controlled flat lawn are a health initiative, where at an overgrown lawn will attract mice and rats. Fruit trees, particularly berries, are somewhat of a nuisance in smaller yards. They are stepped on and tracked inside, attract wasps, pets eat them, etc. There's definitely a small recent trend of getting rid of grass lawns and doing full landscaping, but it's still rare to see. Most houses have at least one tree in the front. Many neighborhoods in the US are built by the builder clearing the land completely then building the houses. These are sometimes referred to as speculation homes or spec homes. It's sort of a build it and they will come idea. It's easier to get the big equipment in when you're not trying to get around trees, stumps, etc. After houses are built, then sod is put down, usually bushes around the house. After that, the home buyers may add trees or other features. In older neighborhoods, you'll see huge trees, flowering bushes, etc. To add to this, a few infestations have happened to different species of trees, so that has created a huge problem with lots of trees being cut down. Not everyone. I have replaced 80 of my front lawn with shrubs, dwarf evergreens, and perennials, and I have been told countless times from people that it looks awesome and brings joy. I know a few people who drive home from work the long way during the summers just so that they pass by my garden and see the blooms. It would be amazing to see a whole neighborhood like this. I have bird feeders up and get so many visitors and rabbits and squirrels. And the bees? If an American wants to plant a garden, it's usually in the back of the house. The front is usually just grass and maybe some shrubs. As an American, I have 2 palm trees, 3 huge water oaks in my front yard. Ha ha ha, Edward Scissorhands. The opening of that movie. Watch it. You don't own the first 13 feet or so from the street to your house. Planting trees there brings them close to utilities. You also don't want them too close to your house because they may mess with your house's utilities. A lot of people do plant little bushes and stuff close to their house, but they are usually the low-maintenance kind. Also, HOAs are a common thing in those neighborhoods with identical rows of houses, and planting something that they don't want may void your agreement. That depends on where you go in the USA. I would say that in Central Mass it's much more common to see yards with trees, bushes, and gardens in them.